Okay, so let's go for this very, very first interview, Patrik. Patrik, let us know about your story and your musical experience. Is it your very first band, and are you the only one to make the project?
Yeah, so TONIC BREED started in 2006, actually, as you know, just a few guys learning to play their instruments and learning to play in a band, and it quickly evolved into being a band that released quite a few songs, and then eventually an album. And ever since, TONIC BREED have been playing concerts and releasing music, and we have been active for all those years until 2019, I guess.
Okay.
And then we parted ways because of different interests, which was not the first time in this band's history. We have had three maybe main lineups, um, each for every record. That's an easy way to look at it. So we release an album, and for different reasons, people want to do something else, or we just agree that we have different interests or different ambitions, and we have to find a new lineup. And we find a new lineup, and we play concerts, create songs together, and release a new song and a new album. And the same thing repeats itself. We
Never ending
we
story.
never-ending story. So, but it's never been, those hard arguments, or we split apart. We part ways as friends most of the times. But after three times, you kind of get tired of it.
Yeah.
So I was not motivated to gather a new full band. So I picked up a couple of ideas from other bands that have experienced the same as me long before me. I'm not the first one to experience this, and I like the idea of being just me and involve people from all around. And I didn't have any expectations back then how what kind of people I was able to have on my songs, but luckily for me, I got great names so far on this EP.
Yeah,
So
we're going to talk about it
yeah.
about it. Um,
Mm,
so you're from Norway, aren't you?
yeah, correct.
No, Norway, Subsborg.
Yeah, almost correct pronunciate.
You know, I usually do interviews with Norwegian band like Leprous and so many bands, and I try to have the correct pronunciation, but it's not. I'm not so familiar. So, what's the name of the city?
The name of the city where TONIC BREED is born and where I was born is Sarpsborg.
Ah, yeah. Okay,
So you're
not.
very close. You're very
Yeah,
close.
yeah,
Close
very
enough.
close.
Yeah.
So you have just released an EP now, uh, um, and let us know about the story of your famous guest, especially with my longtime friend Dirk Verbeuren from now is Megadeth, but he used to play, of course, in Soilwork, and just before, of course, the famous French band Scarve.
Correct. What was your question? My experience
Yeah, yeah.
with working?
How did you get in touch with Dirk and the other guest?
Yeah, so it's five guests on this release to in total. Some of them I knew for a long time, and some of them I come in contact, after emails, and some have recommended someone. So it's been this back and forth and emailing and phone calls and everything to just get in touch with people. My experience with all of them is great, and we can start with Dirk, of course, as you know him from before. And if you know him, you know that Dirk is the nicest guy. So
Ever. The
when I met
best
him for the
one.
first time, yeah. So when I met him for the first time, it was like we've known each other for years already. He's so so great to just talk and make you feel like his friend, and the conversation just floated. Um, yeah, and the experience with working with him was just alike. He so available when I needed him, or when I needed some feedback, or when I wanted to give feedback. And the entire process was just flawless, actually. We met some obstacles here and there, but usually it was just perfect.
So you recorded in the States, I suppose, and you recorded on your side in your home studio, something like this.
Yeah, that's correct. So I record my stuff, vocals and strings and all of that in my own studio, or in some vocals I take in a studio here in Oslo, where I live currently. And in the case of Dirk, he was in Los Angeles at the time, recording in a studio there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were on our different parts of the world when that happened. But yeah, it worked great. He's so professional, so it wasn't anything that made anything less good or anything. We found a good solution for the entire recording. We can take on that same the song that Dirk plays on. I also have a guest that's his name is Bernt Jansen. He plays in a band called Wigwam, which have been around. They are actually from Sarpsborg and the areas around, the cities around. And he was actually my music teacher back when I was like 11 years old.
Cool.
So yeah, that was I always wanted to kind of do something with music along with him. And finally, the chance was there, and he was on board right away. So that was really great. The song that was released before that with a guest on is the song "No Rocks on the Scotch," which also features two guests. The first one is Bjorn Strid from Soilwork. So Bjorn and Dirk, of course, know each other very well, and yeah, was just great to cooperate with him as well. He knew exactly what I wanted, so I just told him I like this style of I want this style of vocals on the choruses. He just made one recording and sent it, and it was perfect. So yeah, of course, what can you expect when they're so professional? It's always good when you receive something. And on that same release, there's also a guy, a drummer, which is called Martin Skriubakken. Also a guy I've known for a long time. He plays in a band called Endesma. Yeah, I don't know what they want me to put them in genre-wise, but I believe black metal will cover it almost. So the song is very aggressive. It was a lot of double pedaling, and I knew he could nail that very well because I played in a like a side band with him. So he also delivered. I knew he would deliver because he plays much faster usually. So that was no problem. He just made it a little more darker than a thrash drummer would do. It was a little more black in there. And at last we have from the first song after I went solo with this band, HE Antagonist. And on that song I have one guest featured, and that's Oliver Palotai from Camelot.
Yeah.
I don't know if I pronunciate that name
Camelot.
correct, but yeah.
Camelot.
Yeah, but his name. But
yeah,
he plays a lot of instruments and I knew him as a keyboardist, a synth guy, because that's what he does in Camelot. But he actually plays guitar very well as well. So when I asked him to do a guitar solo, I think he liked that, and we agreed on before that he was gonna mix the song. So he created the guitar solo, could choose his own guitar sound, so it was no argument there, and he did the mix very well as well. So yeah,
Cool.
I think that
So
was a quick introduction.
yeah, so many famous guests. It's wonderful. And if you want if we want to sum up the style of the band, or at least on this EP, it's very 90s thrash metal, I would say. At the very first song of on this EP, Fuel the Fire, it's really not so far from Slayer. Don't you think so?
Yeah, that might be. They're one of my main inspirations from at least back in the days.
Yeah.
So I
So
think
between
yeah.
Slayer and Metallica, I would say, and the sometimes it's a bit maybe more groovy, like maybe Megadeth sometimes. So are you born into this 90s thrash metal?
When I was younger and when I started guitar, I was all in on the 80s thrash metal, the Bay Era and the early thrash. I have to admit that you'll hear it on the song, so I can't hide anything. It's but that will always be it will always be in my bone, you know.
Yeah.
I will always. It's hard to just take that away when I create songs. But when you discover the groove, and I'm glad you mentioned it because it's when people review the albums, they tend to only mention thrash, but I think it's a lot of groove there because
Yeah.
the 90s groove from Pantera and bands around there was a huge influence. And I noticed that every time I create songs and I look back on what I created, it's like, yeah, there's the groove part again. Of course, it's there. I always add some groove parts unintentionally. It's just there. So and I want it. So always when I talk with the drummers and what I want, I always mention groove. So I like the combination in the song. So it just don't become the plain thrash song and all the time. I like to have some variations to make it more exciting to listen to.
Yeah, I think it's easy to discover your band through this EP because the four songs are quite different, I would say, very diversified, and I think it's a good range to discover the band. And my question is it just now a studio project, or would like to play in Norway or maybe more?
Yeah, at this time it's only a studio project. We played concerts, I believe, in 13 consecutive years, mostly in Norway. But now I have not missed it too much. It's fun to play concerts, but also you have to see what's the reward in the end. How much energy do you have to put into gather enough people to show up, and when you're not signed, nothing comes from free.
Yeah.
So even though you're doing this for more than 10 years, you can still play concerts and no one shows up if you're not lucky with the promotion. So when you've done that for a long time, and it's kind of yes, as I started, I'm not missed it too much. So I just focus on the part that I can do alone, which is created songs, and yeah, try to spice it up a bit with the guests as we talked about earlier.
Yeah. So did you do everything on in your studio with the mix and the mastering? Everything is done home?
I do most of the recording myself, all guitars and bass, unless it's not pointed out otherwise by guests, as with Bernt on the song Fuel the Fire, where he plays the bass. So I do most of the recording myself, and the mixing, I do the first, the very rough mixing, and so I know what to expect when I send it to the sound engineers out there. I've used a couple of them, so I do some research what kind of people make music along the style I want the songs to sound. So I do the rough mixing, send it to them, and usually I know what I can expect. But if I just send, the rough recording takes, I don't know what to expect in return because they might mix something different than me. So I like to do most of the rough mixing.
Okay. And what are the next guests for the new EP? So
that's a great question. And if I was not doing this surprise thing, I always build up the surprise when promoting, I would tell you. But because I have to, use what I have to promote, I need to keep that for myself, unfortunately, for this interview.
Do you write, everything, and the lyrics? What is your main inspiration for writing the lyrics?
That's so different every time. On the album Out Soul, which was released in 2014, it was very political, not that I choose a side, but I like to point out how I see politics. But on the release after that, Install Memory, I was not there was no politics at all. It was just I was into cryptocurrency, so I wrote a song about that, and I was fascinating by SpaceX sending Tesla in space, so I wrote a song about that. It was like what fascinated me, not the political aspects. And on this song, on this album, might be a little more back to the politic part. Writing songs about the climate change that's happening, which everyone can almost feel on their body. It's so obvious. I don't take any side on it, but I'm just pointing it out what's happening, so you can guess what side I'm on. Except for the song Blood Moon, where I actually did something I've never done before, which was creating this fantasy universe. So I was trying to challenge myself lyric-wise. What can I do if I try to put my imagination into another world that does not exist? I've been very experimental, and I've not written any lyrics for the upcoming songs yet. So I'm actually a bit excited about what I'm gonna write about myself.
So the good thing is that you have already new stuff, new riffs, new music.
New riffs and new music is in the making. Are in the making, and when things will be released and all of that, I actually don't know. The process varies very much from songwriting and the guest part. You don't know how long time thing takes. And this when I'm entirely alone, I don't have any support from a management or anything, so I can push anything more than I can do, and I'm just one person.
Yeah.
If I had a huge label behind me, things might be more predictable, but
maybe
not now.
If fans like your music, I see in your house that you have something to maybe to sell, maybe the guitar, but maybe clothes like shirt, t-shirts, stuff like this? How can they contact you?
I have a website, tonicbreed.com, which has its own store. So it's just visiting my website and order my merch there. So this was just a spontaneous illusion to cover up what's beneath, because that was not that exciting. But yeah, might work as some sort of selling point as well.
All right. And to finish, what are your next concerts? You don't play concerts, but do you see concerts, and what's your next one?
This year I watched Megadeth, of course. So I met Dirk here when he played. That was the day we took the promotion pictures. So I always watch Megadeth and those thrash bands when they were around. And of course, I watch Rammstein.
Yeah.
Which yeah, it's kind of a must to see that show. So I saw them a couple of years back as well. So what I will see next, I don't know. I'm a bit spontaneous when I go to concerts. So we'll see. I will definitely see a couple of more this year.